Opportunities are not as frequent, but his ability to take advantage of opportunities that previously he couldn't means that his performance jumps rapidly. This means that you can quickly generate new trades. So you've got 10 times the earning capacity theoretically because you've increased your skill set. How do you deal with this? How do you learn from environment shift? Now, the way that you learn from environment shift is all about how you debrief. Now, people talk a lot about debriefing, journaling, however you want to think about this. What you've got to always ask yourself, and I think this is one of the most important things, because I think people often debrief or they journal because they think they should, rather than with a clear purpose. Your debrief has to have an action point to it. It has to try and achieve something. So always ask yourself what you're trying to achieve with a debrief. And also make sure that your debrief evolves in the same way that your trading skill evolves. So the way that I kind of try and view this, and this is the way that we help new traders sort of grow their careers. Early on, year one is about understanding. When you first start trading, you don't know lots of stuff. So what you don't know is what trades work best for you, what trades you're going to start using. So a lot of your first year of debriefing is about understanding your own style and then what trades are most applicable to you. Year two is about proficiency. This is then evolving your debrief further. You need to become more proficient. You need to become expert in some of the trades that you take. So you're trying to sort of maximize those opportunities of small skill sets that you're learning. You're becoming more proficient at generating new ideas and new strategies as well. Year three, I call synergy. This is where you're then starting to look more broadly at what's going on. You bring in a wider sort of macro perspective, bigger timeframes that you're looking at, and then start to get into applying the trades that you're very proficient at in much more focused and refined ways. If you've got a narrative that supports a certain type of trade, then you're going to be much better at taking those trades on. You can start to increase your size on them. Beyond that, and this is then the next part of the journey, I'm going to explain this a couple of charts in a moment, it's about maximization. This is less about generating skills. It's about increasing size, dealing with the psychology of risking so much more. This is what takes people to the next level. Early on in your career, you can learn strategy. But once you've learned all of them, or as many as you can't keep on learning things in the same speed. So it's no longer about your ability to learn new things. It's about your ability to make those pay. From a debrief, you're tracking how things are changing and also what you need to learn at any point in time. This should be a cyclical thing. So you're moving constantly around this situation of what do you know, then asking yourself, what more do you need to know? This goes back to looking at a loss and saying, well, what do I need to know about that to improve it? You then ask yourself, how do you find this? If it's a technical thing, then you find examples of a similar type trade and investigate that more deeply. So this brings in a new part of your debrief, a bit like a playbook type style. Then that develops a new skill. Now you know more. Now you can ask yourself, what else do you need to know? This is a junior trader's debrief. And what you'll notice, and this is just part of it, forms part of a junior trader's debrief typically. Very, very detailed about thought process at specific points. This is a 1 minute chart. Very distinct discussion around, and detail about where he's taking trades on, his thought process around why he's taking a trade at that point, number of lots he's taken, exactly what's going on, lots and lots of detail. Again, then brings in another area where he can try and find new skills to use, brings a footprint in, identifies where he's taking those trades on. So this is about building proficiency, becoming better and better at certain types of trades that you take on. This forms just a small part of a debrief, but this is the kind of example of the detail that people are putting in when they're trying to learn skills. Now, what this means, if you're putting this level of detail in to learn new skills, is that you can start generating a playbook of trades. This means that you can quickly generate new trades. If you go from having one trade to now having 10, you've got 10 more opportunities. So you've got 10 times the earning capacity theoretically because you've increased your skill set. And early on in your trading career, you can do that very, very quickly because you're starting from a very low base. If you don't know any trades before you start, you can increase that skill set massively, very, very fast. So your earning capacity grows. This is what creates decent jumps in performance. Now, what this will tend to be able to do for most traders is this is a skill, or that skill development can get you to a point where maybe you could work out to around about 100, maybe to 200,000 in a year. Pretty decent. But if you're not continuing to learn new skills, or more to the point, learning how to maximize the trades that you're taking, because remember, it may well be that you've not seen multiple different environments or don't know how to navigate them, then what you end up with is stagnating at that point. If things change significantly, you may well then start taking greater and greater losses. Senior traders debriefs, much less detail on the specifics of what's going on and more about his general way that he's performed within the trade, his kind of idea within the trade and how well he then executed that. And this forms, sort of a more of a kind of holistic brain dump of the way he's approaching a trade. The focus here is not then about skill set. He knows these trades. He's learned these trades. He's put that time in years 1, 2, 3. Now it's about, well, how do you grow as a trader? How do you improve the size that you're trading, the mindset that you go into certain trades, by looking then at the way that he's managed himself within these trades. And on the back of that, there's then assessments done on a more kind of weekly basis about trades that were then taken and where he's changed his decision-making process. It's all about the way he's taking trades on, or the way he's thinking about trades, the way he actually enacts the plan that he's got, rather than the actual trade itself. It's less about the specifics and more about the general perspective of how he's going about doing things. This is what then leads you on. And this is what comes when you leave kind of training that can get your skill set up and move into a more kind of coaching side of things. And this is where a lot of our senior traders move towards, much more on the kind of coaching side, or looking for a coach or having a coach. I mentor a fair few people into how do they develop this side of their game, because they can't generate new trades at the same pace. They can't continue to think up new ideas. It's about being able to increase size and dealing with that increased size, dealing with the psychology around moving from trading a 200 lot to a 500 lot. That's the kind of thing. Yeah, that's not about skill set. That's about the ability to then take on that challenge. Right. This was skill set building for a junior trader, beginning of 2022, very, very theme, high volatility. We had the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now, junior trader doesn't make any money. He struggles. And the reason being, he's not seen this type of volatility before. He's a new trader. Elite trader has seen this type of stuff before. Massive performance. Wonderful. And then he sort of tails off. It's still growth, but it's quite steady. It's his kind of diminishing performance. Junior trader accelerates. The reason that a junior trader accelerates is he's learned new skills here that are still applicable. Volatility is not as high here. Opportunities are not as frequent, but his ability to take advantage of opportunities that previously he couldn't means that his performance jumps rapidly.